I'm Alfonso Mendoza, host of the My Ed Tech Life podcast, a part of the Education Podcast Network. Shows on the network are individually owned and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Hey there, I'm Amber Harper, former burned out teacher turned teacher burnout coach, dedicated to helping other teachers like you to grow through your burnout and take your next best steps toward what you want from your career in education and in life. After an embarrassing emotional breakdown in front of my teacher besties, I knew something needed to change, and that something was me. I decided that I wasn't going to settle for burnout as my sentence as a teacher, mom, wife, or friend. And I knew it was going to take way more than practicing conventional self-care to make the progress I wanted to make. No amount of manicures, bottles of wine, or bubble baths was going to save this girl. Fast forward a few years later, and I've used everything I've learned about teacher burnout and personal development to write a book, build a course, and lead a community of burned-in teachers who refuse to settle for a life of burnout as their forever reality. I've used my burnout as an opportunity to become an active participant in my life, in the classroom and here on the mic, using all that I've learned to teach kids and serve teachers. And you can do the same. The Burned In Teacher podcast is one part burnout and all other parts action, inspiration, and support to help you grow through your burnout and live a happier, more fulfilled career and life. So take a deep breath, my friend, because you're about to take your next best step to becoming a burned in teacher. Now let's get started. Hey there, Burned In Teachers. Welcome to episode 119 of the Burned In Teacher podcast. This is one part burnout and all other parts action, inspiration, and support for teachers dealing with burnout. And I'm going to cut right to the chase, my friends. I want this to be a short and sweet episode because I really want you to take action in this episode. This episode is called How to Beat Burnout Even When It Seems Impossible. And what I have for you today is a small clip of my free Burned In Teacher workshop that I led live last week in front of a live audience. And I want to give you a sneak peek into it because what I know to be true is that there are 3 huge mistakes that I made in my burnout that kept me there for way too long, and 3 important mindset shifts that I had to make in order to get out of it. I also know that the old quote unquote form of self-care is outdated and does not work. I know it didn't work for me. I know it's not working for thousands of teachers out there because teachers continue to leave, even though we have been pushing self-care for so long, especially in light of pandemic teaching. So what you're going to hear here is about a 13-ish minute clip from the beginning of the Burned In Teacher workshop. And I want to invite you to go to burnedinteacher.com/workshop to check out the entire replay if you want to learn more about these mindset shifts and the mistakes, as well as the steps that you can take to truly go all in on getting out of your burnout and becoming a burned-in teacher. And I'm also going to let you know, the doors are wide open to the Burned In Teacher Mastermind. It is bigger, it is better than ever. The Burned In Teacher Mastermind is the course, the community, and your true growth opportunity. And I explain everything in this webinar, as well as I explain it at burnedinteacher.com/mastermind. So if you are ready to truly go all in, to truly create the change that you need in your life, to get off of this roller coaster of burnout and onto a path of becoming a burned in teacher, instead of a burned out teacher, I really encourage you to join today. All right, my friends, without further ado, here is a small little snippet of my workshop, How to Beat Burnout Even When It Seems Impossible. Burn on. Well, welcome everybody to the Burned In Teacher workshop. This is how to beat burnout even when it seems impossible. 3 shifts that will change everything. We're going to get started right away. And I really do encourage you, whether you're joining live or you're watching the replay, to grab a pen, grab a pencil, grab a notebook, because this is going to be something you're going to want to take some notes on. We are going to get we're going to get really deep into burnout, and we're going to learn a lot today. So I'm really excited to dive in with you. My name is Amber Harper. If we have never met before, this picture of me here on the left, that is me at 24-year-old me in my first very own classroom as a first grade teacher, and my lovely family here last summer. I'm married to an elementary school principal. And we have two girls, Hannah, who is 20, and Avery, who is 13. I am teaching kindergarten this year. I left the classroom for a few years, as maybe some of you know, to pursue Bird and Teacher full time. And I just couldn't stay away. I needed my people. I needed my kids. And I went back into the classroom this year as a kindergarten teacher, and am loving every second of it. You may also know me from Hacking Teacher Burnout. This book came out a little over a year ago, came out in September in 2020. And it has just been a fantastic experience to write that book. And some of you may be joining today because of Hacking Teacher Burnout. And you also may know me from the Burn and Teacher podcast, which I started in 2018. That was one of my first projects that I started whenever I left the classroom. And it has been a joy to share teachers' burnout and burn-in stories through that podcast. All right. And I have to tell you something though. I was just like you. So I want to hear in the comments. I want you to let me know if any of this sounds like you. I started burning out my very first year in the classroom from a toxic work culture. It was 2007. And I did not have a great experience as a first year teacher, unfortunately. And from what I have heard, this is the same experience that a lot of new teachers are having in their burnout journey. I cried at one point daily on my way to and from school. And I thought that this was normal. And part of me said that it wasn't, but part of me said, this is just the way it is. I vented and talked terribly about my administration and the state of education over bottles of wine with my friends. And I left teaching for 6 months in 2015 for what I thought was an opportunity to become an executive director of an educational nonprofit, only to return to the classroom 6 months later to a new district, feeling completely lost, defeated, and like a total failure. And I burned out over trying to keep up with the demands of my district and the demands of myself. If any of this sounds familiar, I want to hear an amen or a hand raised in the comments, because I know I'm not alone. I've had way too many conversations and done so much coaching with teachers that I know that one of these may be like your story. And because of this story, though, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for my burnout. Because of it, I created Burned In Teacher in 2016. And in addition to being a full-time kindergarten classroom teacher, I'm a teacher burnout coach. I'm here to help you grow through your burnout and take your next best steps toward what you want from your career in education and in life. And tonight, I'm just going to lay it out here. I am going to get coachy on you, because we can't grow if we don't start to think about things a little bit differently. And we are going to talk about those mindset shifts today. By the end of today, you will leave here knowing why the old way of practicing self-care isn't working and what you can do about it. We're going to talk about what it means to let go, truly let go in the face of consistent challenges and changes. We are going to learn 3 mindset shifts that you must make now to set future you up for success, and the secret to making 2021 the best year of teaching ever. And I truly do mean it. I am having the best year of teaching of my life, and that is no BS. I'm being 100% honest with you. And of course, how you can swap the exhaustion, the frustration, the overwhelm, the 3 words that come up the most when I'm talking to teachers, to swap those for empowerment, action, and growth. And you're going to leave here knowing how teachers like you are living their best life, even in the midst of pandemic teaching. You are in the right place if you are any of these bullet points as well. I want to hear from you too. Which one of these sounds like you? If you're new around here and you're curious about what this whole burned in teacher girl is talking about on Instagram or on Facebook, you're in the right place if you've been here for a while. Maybe you've been listening to the podcast for a few months or a few years, and you're leaning in. You're saying, I want more. You've read or are reading Hacking Teacher Burnout, and you want more. I've had a lot of teachers DM me and say, I'm all in. Tell me what's next. This is for you. Or you've just taken the burnout quiz. Maybe you took it a couple years ago. Maybe you took it last month. Maybe you just took it yesterday, and you are ready to go all in and growing through your burnout. Or maybe you're burned and unbalanced. You're burned and bored. or you're burned and over it and you're ready to take serious action. This is definitely the place for you. Now, maybe you're here because you love what you do. You love teaching kids. You love having an impact, but you can't keep going at this pace. Or you hate what you're doing. You hate where you teach or the content that you teach, or you're so frustrated with your situation that you know that you need change. You are here. You're in the right place. This is going to be the workshop for you to help you to move forward. So recently, I reached out to my community. I reached out on social media. I reached out in the Beat Teacher Podcast Facebook community. And I said, what has been the most challenging recently? And I got DMs and emails and voice DMs all about especially the challenges of pandemic teaching. Not being able to see reactions and facial expressions or have that person-to-person connection with your kids, feeling like things are consistently changing, multitasking between screens, or some students being at home, learning from home, and some students being in your classroom, and how incredibly challenging that is. The lack of breaks, students eating in your classroom for lunch, the constant need to change and flip things without any real direction. I even had somebody tell me that they've experienced loss during this time, but they couldn't take off of work for an extended amount of time to be able to take care of their own needs. These are all extremely tragic and challenging times in education. And this is all in addition to what I already, and of course, the quarantines, right? I've been dealing with that for weeks since we started school at the beginning of August. I've been dealing with students being quarantined and being gone for a week or 2 weeks. And it's extremely, extremely challenging. And this is, of course, in addition to all of the original challenges that we held on as teachers, seeing how broken our systems are. I send out a survey to my new teachers who take the quiz and ask them, what are you really challenged with? What's really challenging you? And these are statements that I hear all the time. They're spending too much time doing what they call busy work. They don't know what their role is. They don't know how they're actually helping to make a difference. Students lack respect. Parents lack respect, administrators lack respect, trying to keep up with all of your student and staff needs, too many to-dos on your list. You want more, but you can't seem to figure out how to get there. These are all things that I hear over and over again. So if you've been feeling any of these feelings or thoughts, having any of these thoughts in isolation, just know that you are in the right place. You're not alone. You're not crazy. You're not a bad person. And you're certainly not a bad teacher. So because of all of these consistent challenges and changes, we have a pandemic of another kind. We have burned out administrators who are serving burned out teachers who are teaching burned out students. Teachers are not the only ones who are burning out at an enormous rate because of all of these challenges and the trauma that is going on in our lives in education and in our lives outside of education. And it has this inward ripple effect that does trickle down to our students' well-being. We have administrators that are not taking care of themselves, who are serving teachers who are not taking care of themselves, who are serving students who are not taking care of themselves in the right ways. We're going to talk about that here in just a second. So of course, what's our answer? Well, we talk about self-care, right? We tell administrators to take care of themselves, practice self-care. We tell teachers to practice self-care. We tell students to practice self-care. But I have something that I want to challenge here with this word self-care, because the self-care that I have seen out there and the self-care that I heard when I was struggling with burnout all through my 12 years of teaching was have some donuts in the teacher's lounge, give them more jeans days, right? Go get your nails done, have a bubble bath, binge watch Netflix, just rest and relax, have a glass or 5, or heck, have a whole bottle of wine or coffee. My gosh, just drown yourself in coffee. Or just sit and scroll through your phone. These are all forms of self-care that I was trying at different parts of my career, and none of them worked for me. And while we're scrolling through our phones, we're laughing, right? Like we're laughing at all of these hilarious memes and GIFs that make us laugh because we believe that this is helping us to feel better, right? That we're just laughing at the misery of teachers and of education. So these are forms of self-care that I don't believe are going to help you to get out of teacher burnout. They're not. This is not self-care. These are forms of self-destruction, and this is not going to help you to grow or to beat your teacher burnout. These things are going to keep you stuck. And connecting with people on social media over the misery of teaching and the misery of being in education, that's not connection. That is disconnecting you further and further away from your career in education. These things are not helping. They're not helping us to get out of teacher burnout. They're keeping us right where we are. And all of this scrolling and bubble bathing and nails getting done and donuts in the teacher's lounge and jeans days, they are Band-Aids on these gaping problems and challenges that we are consistently dealing with on a daily or weekly basis, or hourly basis for that matter, in our careers in education. And I'm not okay with that. There you have it, Burned In Teachers. And there is so much good stuff in this workshop. You're going to want to grab a pen and paper. You're going to want to take notes. And of course, you know I'm all about taking action. So I want you to go to one of two, if not both, of these places to learn more about the workshop, to finish watching the workshop, to get the mistakes and the mindset shifts that you could be making and the mindset shifts that you need to make in order to truly take action and grow through your burnout. Go to burnedinteacher.com/workshop to sign up and get the replay. You can watch it right away. You can watch it at your own convenience. Or if you are ready to dive in, if you really are truly meaning what you say, when you say you're all in growing through your burnout, just go to burnedinteacher.com/mastermind and join us. We would love to see you there. And if you love a good deal, and I know I love a good deal, you can save $50 off of your forever access to the Burned In Teacher Tribe community and the Burned In Teacher University course by entering Fast Action 50 into the checkout. That is your coupon code to save $50 off. I cannot wait to see you inside the mastermind, and I know you're going to gain a lot of action steps in this workshop. Either way, you know I'm here for you. DM me at Burned In Teacher on Instagram, or send me a comment or a question inside the Burned In Teacher podcast Facebook community. And of course, email me at support@burnedinteacher.com with any questions. And take a deep breath, because you just took another step to becoming a Burned In Teacher. Burn on, everyone. If you enjoyed today's podcast episode, you can head over to burnedinteacher.com, where you can access the entire vault of Burned In Teacher podcast episodes and more information about ways I want to help you go from burned out teacher to burned in human. If you enjoyed today's episode, I would be so grateful if you would head over to iTunes and leave a review and a rating about the Burned In Teacher podcast. Until next time, take a deep breath, because you just took another step to becoming a Burned In Teacher. Burn on.